Our gate was $1,325,000 Australian dollars. We've got some performance bonuses. Fight of the night, Jake Matthews versus Johnny Case. And 2 performance bonuses, one for Mark Hunt and one for Neil Magny, $50,000 US to each of those 4 fighters. So who's got the first question?
Tom. Start with Neil, if you don't mind. Obviously, an incredible win for you tonight. Give us an idea of what was going through your head in the first round. A lot of trouble there. I mean, how hurt were you really, and kind of what was going through your mind as that first round played out?
I was definitely hurt going into the first round. Once I got down to the mat, it was just kind of like just find a position to protect myself and then find a way to get back to the feet and recover. I thought I was doing so by trying to protect my chin against the cage, but then I started eating shots in the back of the head. So I just had to switch it up and try something different because that defense wasn't working. So I just had to find a way to just dig deep and drive on.
Of course, the momentum changed entirely the second round. You were on top, punching away, looking up at the ref. It looked like you were actually kind of disgusted when the round ended, or confused or frustrated or something. What was your emotion when the fight wasn't stopped?
You just kind of go out for the guy. I mean, as much as we're in this sport to win or whatever, like it's hard as an individual to like really sit there and put that kind of damage on a guy and not have it stopped. I mean, the ref's supposed to be to protect the fighter, and he wasn't in position to protect himself at all, and the ref should have stepped in earlier, I thought. But I don't know. That's not my job. I guess I can just keep fighting. I don't know.
I know you're a company guy and will do whatever the UFC asks you to, but when you're 10-1, you get to wield a little bit of power. So what do you think should be next for you?
If I had my way, I just kind of wait for a top 5 opponent and then eventually make a title run for years over. That would be my goal.
Thanks, Neil.
Thank
Tom,
you.
Tom, if I could for you just quickly, there was a lot of discussion about the fight not being stopped and potential danger of an opponent, that sort of thing. From your point of view, maybe the other executives, if you heard anything, what's the position there? Were you guys a little concerned that it wasn't stopped in the second?
We were a lot concerned. I think Neil said it best. It's the referee's job is to make sure that a fight is stopped if the athlete can't protect himself or herself. And I'm sitting right beside, not quite as close as the referee was, but I thought that fight should have been stopped, and it should have been stopped a long time before. Because in the end, as I think Neil said it best.
And Tom, if I could just quickly as well, I mean, obviously this was a great night, but looking forward, there were some rumblings this week that maybe you might be back later in the year. Is there any news that you can break to let people in this market know when the UFC will be back?
We will be back in this market in Australia later on this year. It's a little too premature to announce when and where, but Australia will host another UFC event in 2016.
Just a question from Dan Kelly. Dan over here. I mean, what a moment tonight. You get the upset when the crowd goes crazy. It felt like the arena was going to fall apart from all the crowd cheering for you. Describe for us that finishing sequence when you realized that you won the fight and you heard that reaction from the Brisbane crowd.
It was awesome. I was very clear. I was down 2 rounds. Things weren't going great. I got a good pick up on him and threw a head kick, and I saw his eyes rolling a little bit and sprawled, and then just kept punching, and the referee kept saying, defend yourself, you move a little bit. And then, when they called a stop, I was a little bit overcome with emotion, but it was good, really good win. And the crowd's awesome. The crowd's always fantastic in Australia. We always have loud crowds. We always fill whatever arena it's in, so it's good that the UFC have invested here.
It's funny because every time you're going to a fight, it's like, here's Dan Kelly, he's an underdog. Do you feel like the days of the underdog is over? I mean, this performance sort of proves that you're relevant in the division, even at 38 years of age, even though you came into the sport a bit later.
Yeah, I think I am relevant, and I'll be the underdog again because I want to fight someone who's ranked above me. If you look at a whole heap of different rankings, Antonio Carlos Jr. won a tough show. He was probably rated about 10 or 15 spots ahead of me on a few different ranking things. I want to fight better guys. I want to keep testing myself, and tonight I proved that I can pull a rabbit out of the hat as well. So,
just a quick question for Mark. Mark, obviously a highlight reel finish there over Frank Mir. You spoke in the post-fight press conference that part of you, it was a bit tough for you because you and Frank sort of got to know each other over this time. You like him as a person. Can you describe what you think of Frank Mir and everything that he's achieved in his career?
I think it's great. I think it's great. I mean, Frank's a great guy. I first met him, he took photos. He's accomplished a lot. He's become the UFC champion, and something I never did. So, I have a lot of respect for Frank and his skill set.
Just tonight, there's always a winner and loser, so just the way it is. Just work.
So, Mark, just on that, you talked about making another run for the title shot, and I know that you don't like to play matchmaker yourself, but if you were to, who do you want to pick?
I'd fight any of the top guys. You know, I could rematch any of those guys. JDS, Stipe, the guy with the belt, Fabrizio. You know, I can rematch these guys. I've never lost a rematch, so I'd like to rematch any one of those guys. And yeah, it doesn't matter where we can party. I can party anywhere.
Question for Jake over here. Jake, to your left. Big win for you tonight against a tough opponent. 2 judges had you down going into the third. Can you just tell us a little bit about the mindset going into that third round?
Yeah, so each round, especially this camp, we've been working on resetting myself. You know, if you're winning the fight, you know, each round, the scores are 0-0 again, and the fight starts again. And when you think of it that way, you know, you don't get too overconfident if you're winning, and you don't get too hurried and make mistakes if you're down on points. I thought the first round may have been close. I thought he had the second round. So, you know, my corner got me to reset. I went out there. It was just as if we were fighting the first round again. But as soon as Dan Kelly won his fight, I got a bit more confidence. If you look at our UFC records, they're the exact same. So, you know, when one of us wins, we both win. So that gave me a bit more confidence.
And a good finish for you, another good finish against a tough opponent. Where do you see yourself going next as you continue to climb?
I'm not in a hurry. We always, you know, myself and my corner, we always have a talk about who we might want next, but we always leave it up to the UFC in the end. We trust in their matchmakers. They're the best in the world at what they do, and we trust that they're going to, you know, ease me along at the pace that I need to go and not throw me to the wolves. And as long as I can keep fighting guys that are just, you know, a little bit higher ranked than me, I'll keep working up the rankings, and we're happy to do it that way. So I think we'll just wait and see what the UFC think.
And just one more, if I could. This is probably for Dan as well. Strong Victorian connection up on the stage there at the moment. What do you think this says for, you know, you both do training camps locally in Victoria. It's obviously big things for the sport down south.
Yeah, Melbourne's the place to be for MMA at the moment, apparently. So it's good. We've got it for the oldies, for the young ones. So it's really good.
Yeah, and myself and Dan, we've trained together. Not so much this training camp, but we normally spar and train together twice a week. And we're getting pushed by a lot of the local guys. They're really good. And I think now with the inclusion of the Octagon in Melbourne being legalised, I think we're going to see a lot more guys getting experience in the Octagon and being able to make their way to the UFC. So it's exciting.
Just a question for Jake, just down here. I saw your eyes light up when you got Fight of the Night. How does it feel to get your first bonus? I know you've been pushing for one. You've had a few impressive performances. How does it feel?
Yeah, you know, with each fight and each finish, you might think that you're close, but I think now fighting higher up on the cards, you've got more of a chance. And it's not even that. That's the reason that I fight. It's good to get a little bonus, but you know, the best feeling is getting the win, regardless of the bonus or not. But it is nice to get it.
Just quickly for Mark, you're kind of known as the king of the walk-off knockout. A lot of times it's not smart to let a guy off the hook, but what is it that you see or you feel to know that there's no reason to even go to the ground, that the fight's over?
No, that I got Frank. He was still in the dark lens when I saw him. His face was still, he wasn't there, so I just left it. So, yeah, he wasn't there, but I couldn't see it. He was out somewhere else. Well, it's true. He wasn't there. He was blacked out somewhere.
Question for Neil. Neil, over here. Just want to ask you about the weight cut. Obviously, the overnight weight cut, you know, it's a lot of weight for you, and you do it regularly, very, very regularly. Just want to know how you felt going into the fight this morning.
I felt great. I got weight cutting down to a science. I mean, for me, making weights as easy as like just cutting out bacon from my diet, and I make it pretty easy. So it wasn't an issue at all. I mean, I kind of did enjoy having the entire day to rehydrate and things like that, but overall, it was great.
So you like the time zone for the fight, fighting during the day and having that time to prepare? You want to come back down here?
Yeah, I mean, definitely it. I didn't feel like it affected me at all. I mean, back home I train throughout different times of the day, whether it's doing jiu-jitsu, striking, or strength conditioning. I'm constantly training throughout the day, so the time here didn't make a difference at all.
Thanks.
No problem.
Question for Jake. You obviously had a lot of success in Australia. Is there a particular card overseas that you're keen on getting on in the future?
No, like I said before, we just live up to the UFC. You know, I just, you know, we just finished the fight, and I never like to look past fights, and I've done it once in my career, and it was the only time I've lost. So when I get a fight, that's the only thing that's on my mind. So we haven't thought about it yet, haven't discussed it with management or my corner yet. We may start looking at where to fight or who to fight next, or we'll just leave it to the UFC. So we'll see what happens.
In the second round of your fight with Johnny, you hurt him to the body. Did you realise you had him hurt at the time, or did it take your corner to let you know at the end of the third round to attack the body more in the third?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I landed the first body kick, and he sort of keeled over a bit and made a noise, and it felt like only just my toes got him, and I thought maybe he was just playing. And I think I actually might have said to him, I said, "You're not hurt." I said, "You're trying to bait me in." And but then I hit him again, and then he did it again. And then my corner, I knew it was hurting him, but my corner said, "You got to hit him, and then you got to start going for the finish." And I think I hit him 3 times with the body, and then we were on the fence, and I saw the opening, so I got the knee, and he turned his back towards me, and that's when I got the back, and that's what led to the finish. So, yeah.
Did you feel that it was 1-1 heading into the third, or you might have been down? What did your corner tell you about the scorecards heading into the third?
They didn't say much. They just said, you know, our game plan is always get the finish, regardless of if we're winning every round or if we're losing every round. And for me, I thought maybe the first round was close. I thought he had the second round. But in my mind, I just told myself he's winning, I've got to finish it. And I think that I lost the first choke that I was going for. And I was going to just, you know, in your head, you're so tired, you're just thinking, maybe I'll just sit here and ride it out and see if I get the win on points. But I don't like doing that. So I just kept fighting for the second choke. And I think there was only 20 seconds left. And I think I might have been pretty lucky that I got it.
Well done. Dan Kelly, you are the ultimate underdog. Every time you have a great win, you get fighters calling you out because and you've said it yourself, they see you as an easy win. This is your opportunity. Is anyone out there that you want to call out instead for a change?
No, not at all. I've got I'll have to go back, have a look at the rankings. Probably won't fight again until later in the year. I've got some other commitments. I still coach high-level judo, and potentially I'll be in Rio coaching the Australian Judo Olympic team. So I'm not sure if I'm meant to be announcing that, but anyway. Thank you. So I probably won't fight until the end of the year. I emailed Joe Silver about it, and he was like, "Yeah, go and do that." So it's nice to get a couple of wins in a row, and it's like I said in the octagon. Even though I don't remember everything I said, it's keep making me the underdog. I don't mind. I've been an underdog almost every time I fought in the UFC, so it's no problem for me.
Question for Tom about James Tahuna. Obviously, a brutal knockout loss tonight, third in a row. What's the latest on him?
Well, Brett, I don't know what the latest is on him, but I agree. I mean, that was a tough loss, and he hadn't fought for quite some time, almost 2 years coming to. He last fought in Auckland, so I mean that's a call that I think ultimately James will probably make, but or Joe Silva. You know, I'm not sure. Haven't spoken to anybody, but you know he's been a great ambassador for our sport, particularly down here and in New Zealand. He's done some great things for us, and you know we'll have to wait and see what happens. But you know I'm happy for the fact that he's been able to demonstrate his skill for so long.
You know, I have to ask you about Perth.
Perth. In Western Australia.
Yes.
That Perth.
West Australia.
Wasn't sure which Perth you were talking about.
Yes, exactly. Obviously, we still got the cage ban in place. UFC is gaining momentum as far as popularity in the state. Is there signs of getting Labor support, just like happened in Melbourne, to hopefully, sooner than later, uplifting the cage ban that's exists in place at the moment?
Well, Brett, it's a fair question. I mean, and we will continue to talk to both sides of the floor. We'll talk to the governing party, and we'll talk to the opposition, which is Labor. All we want to do is make sure we provide everyone with the facts. The only place for our athletes to compete that's safe, that puts their safety and health first and is fair, is in a fenced enclosure, our octagon. And until saner heads prevail, we'll continue to push that forward. And no different than what happened in Victoria, which was, this time last year we were getting over the goal line in Victoria. It's a matter of when, not if. It'll happen.
and you're getting some good support of a Labor senator from Perth named Glenn Stirl. So obviously things are moving in the right place. There's a petition in place, and hashtag UFC for Perth. Thanks, Tom.
Hashtag UFC for Perth. Got it.
My question's for Neil. Neil, sorry, I'm just over here. Obviously, a win over Lombard is a big, big deal. He's a big, big name in the division. A lot of fighters are tied up at the moment in the top 10, but if you could choose somebody who you'd like to fight next, does anyone stand out to you?
Not really. I mean, my ultimate goal is to get a title shot. So whoever it is that's in front that I need to fight in order to do so, that's the person I want to fight. I mean, I feel like I did a great job up to this point, fighting anyone who UFC told me to fight anywhere, anytime. So at this point, I feel like it's time to be a little bit selfish and try to get that fight to give me the title shot.
It's interesting that you mentioned the title shot. At the moment, not really clear who Robbie's going to be defending his title against. Who do you think should be the person that gets the next title shot in your division, apart obviously from yourself?
Might be a little bit biased, but I think a guy like Damian Maia would be close to being in line. But he has a fight coming up, has to wait to see how that one goes. But yeah, I mean, you just never know. I mean, the guy was the most active guy in the top 5 so far, so I would see him be the most deserving of a title shot at the moment. But he has a fight against Matt Brown May 14th, so I guess I have to wait till that fight and see what happens. But I'm open for any of the other 4 guys who are looking for a fight and looking for an opportunity to say they deserve the next title shot.
Okay, one more question. Yeah, one more question.
Mark?
Straight ahead.
Hiya. Obviously, it was a very cagey start the first minute or so. Were you deliberately thinking about setting him up in the way you did for the knockout?
This is correct.
So you foresaw it?
Yeah, no, I was just trying to see how he was moving around. So yeah, just trying to plan it a bit more.
So that you saw that sort of left jab, that when he ducked from your
Well,
left jab,
yeah.
you'd come through you with the right hand.
I was going to shoot an uppercut through there, but I thought he was a bit slower, so I just thought I'll catch him early with a straight right, and yeah, that's what ended the fight. So yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.
Good job, boys.
The biggest rivalry in MMA is back on April 23rd. Here we go! As John Jones returns, dead set on reclaiming the title.
He is a monster!
From new light heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier.
Are you kidding me? Oh!
Plus, the UFC's first and only flyweight champion Demetrius Johnson faces undefeated Henry Cejudo. It's a championship doubleheader at the MGM Grand, April 23rd. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
I can